Every time I leave a hotel, I strip the beds, fold the toilet paper into a triangle, put the used towels into a pile, and leave a tip for the maid because I used to be a maid and I know how much it sucks. How has having a crappy job changed how you act? Delivery driver. I now make sure that my house number is clearly legible from the street. The paramedics appreciate this, too. If I get good customer service, I ask for a manager to tell them what a good job the employee did for me. I even ask to be transferred when dealing over the phone with customer service agents to their manager. I had one person do that for me when I helped them when I worked in a call center. While it didn't give me a raise, it gave me a name in the faceless floor of 200 or so that I was working on. Made me feel like I actually helped someone instead of just being a punching bag for them. This, as a prior CSR and a current manager, do this. Taking 2 more minutes to let their boss know is the best way to reinforce good service. You will all walk away with a smile on your face. I used to work movie theater concessions. I no longer buy food from the movie theaters. Not that I ever did this, but after working in a grocery store, I'm always extra diligent and returning the shipping carts to the correct place. I used to work in customer service, so I'm always kind and patient with customer service personnel, even the ones at the DMV. If you're nice to them, most of the time they'll be nice to you. I was overly nice to a DMV employee once, then it turned out I had brought the wrong piece of paperwork. She got onto the internet and printed off the right document for me. Definitely didn't have to do that. Because I worked fast food when I was younger, I'm always polite and calm when getting food. Even if they are seriously freaking up, and I'm in a terrible mood, I make sure to stay calm and polite. I used to work for a catering agency that supplied staff to huge posh hotels for large functions and weddings. Now whenever I'm at any sort of event I always make sure to say thank you to the staff and smile nicely, because they're not faceless machines that just magically appear with more champagne on a silver tray. They're real people. I do this as well. I am also always careful with people carrying trays as to where I place my drink, etc. Because I know how much difference one glass can make to the balance of the tray. I used to be a waiter and I know a lot of stuff can go wrong outside of the waiter's control, so I'm always patient when I go out to eat and I always tip well unless the waiter was just absolutely horrible. I also worked in retail and fast food before that. I just have a lot of patience for people with crappy jobs. I worked at Toys R Us. I had to deal with so many parents demanding we locate a toy or doll. If we couldn't, then the verbal abuse began. I've had parents come in at 11:30 PM on Christmas Eve and demand a product be in stock when it wasn't. I was told that I was ruining their child's Christmas. I snapped on one woman and told her I wasn't ruining anything. Did she forget what day Christmas was? And it's not my responsibility to ensure your kid gets a crappy Digimon set. That place killed any chance of me actively giving a frick about kids. I worked at a Walmart toy department. Christmas Eve was my favorite night, because it was just absolute chaos with mostly empty shelves. I could get away with saying anything to anyone. I would get the "you ruined Christmas for our child" comment, and respond with, "Mom, Christmas isn't about material things, it's about baby Jesus," with a big crap-eating grin on my face. After working 3 years in a grocery store, I bag my own groceries. I used to be a server. Now I'll look them in the eyes, say thank you, and tip well. I've never been a server, but I do this too. They're people, and generally people who work really freaking hard for not that much money, but they seem to get the least respect out of any face-to-face job that I see on a regular basis. I am never ever a dong to people in customer service. Being brought to tears a few times by terrible people has had an effect on my behavior with everyone in the service industry. Don't put napkins in your freaking glasses. Don't stack your plates, resulting in food squished against the bottoms of other plates. I'm the stack master. I'll decide the stack order. God damn it. I work at a banquet hall. Frick birthday cake. What's worse? Don't stack plates with silverware in the middle of the plates. I used to work for Subway. When the employees act like they're having a terrible day, I try to cheer them up a bit. What a terrible job that was. cashier at Maya. I was never rude to customer service employees to begin with, but now I attempt to be as friendly, helpful, polite as possible to them because I know how crappy some people can be and no one deserves to be treated like that. I used to deliver pizzas. I can't tell you how bad it sucks to deliver a pizza to a huge house to a well-off family in either 100 degrees in a car with no AC or in the pouring rain, summer job, and then get a 50-cent tip. So now I always try to round the bill up to the next $5 or $10 when I order delivery. At restaurants, I always help stack the dishes with all the food on the top plate. Washing dishes is not fun. I clean up my goddamn food after I'm done watching a movie. Since I've run bookstores in the past, I tend to reorder the shelves at my local Barnes and Noble. I once spent 2 hours doing their history section. A manager came over, asked what I was doing, checked my work, walked away, then came back with a job application and a free drink from their cafe. Achievement unlocked. I used to work as a dishwasher in a restaurant, so now I always check what time a place closes before going in to eat. If it's less than, say, 30 minutes, I find another place. I work in retail, stocking shelves and helping customers. I have learned that just because they have a badge they do not know everything about every product in the store, especially stuff outside of their normal section. For example, half of the Kmart where I work is apparel. I have no idea where any specific type of clothing is, and if you ask me I'll point in the general direction and say that way. Also, unless the store is brilliantly organized with its extra stock, checking out the back for something is really annoying and time consuming, and the majority of the time if it's not on the shelf there's none out the back. At least where I work, we're pretty good with keeping our shelves stocked. So now I'm always super polite, which I was beforehand anyway. If I ask someone where something is and they're not sure because they don't work in that section, I'll just thank them anyway and keep looking. And I don't bother asking for them to check out back unless I urgently need it. Used to wait tables. Parents would bring in kids 3 and under, and 8 out of 10 times the floor would be a mess. I totally get that kids are messy. I see no issue there, but just leaving it for me to clean up after asking for 87 napkins. When I go to restaurants with my kids, I get on my hands and knees and clean that crap up. Usually I'm asked not to, but I don't care. My kid did that. If I ever do give in and not clean it up, server gets a greater tip. I knew a lady that didn't go out to eat until both of her kids were old enough to eat in public. She's my hero. When I'm out drinking, I always take the empty glasses and bottles on mine and surrounding tables, up to the bar. Once a bartender, always a bartender. I used to cook chicken wings in a bar. I never send back food unless it's inedible. I'd rather talk friendly to people like the cleaning lady than to some superiors. I think they deserve much more respect. So much yes, I even tipped a cleaning lady at a music festival. There were around 3,000 visitors and one toilet house, beside the urinals, and she kept it so clean you could have eaten from the toilet seats. I never used to see the point in tipping, but after bussing tables for a couple weeks I never go out unless I have enough to tip. One of the best bits of advice I ever heard a preacher give his church was that if you can't afford a tip, you can't afford to eat out. I never get angry with someone who works in retail unless they are genuinely being obstructive or surly with me. I don't get annoyed with the upselling that happens because I used to do it and I know that it's a choice of do that or get fired. I still do serve, and no matter how awful the food is I would never take it out on the server. I also make sure that if I need something I ask everyone at the table what they need to, so we can ask all at once so the server doesn't have to make 15 trips. My husband and I are both insane tippers. He was once a bartender. I was too, as well as a waitress. Unless you spit on my food as you throw the plate at me, you're gonna get a huge tip. I've worked many restaurant, pizza place jobs. I never order if it's near closing time. It used to suck so bad getting a big rush when all you want to do is get the frick out of there. An example would be last week. I was going to get some Subway, but I saw the employee in the store sweeping and putting the chairs up, so I just went home. My roommate for some reason says he doesn't give a frick and always orders right before close. Even though he's worked these types of jobs with me, he's a dong. I worked at a Wendy's for 3 years. Now whenever I go through a drive-thru I always ask how the employee's doing. It always threw me for a loop when someone would ask how my night was going. It was so rare but it pumped me up for the rest of my shift every time. Not me but my mother was a waitress for a good 10 years of my life. Whenever we went out to eat, she would stack all the plates and cups up and put them at the end of the table so it's easier for the busboy waiter waitress to grab them. Now I automatically do that without a second thought. After spending 3 years caddying at a high-end private golf club I decided I never wanted to be rich. For some reason a golf course is like a confessional for rich guys. They would spend 4 hours talking about all the crappy things they do to others and complain terribly about what people do to them. I was so disillusioned by them that I began to change my definition of success to not include money. Now I can proudly say that I only make about $30K a year at a job that I love, despite having the opportunity to make $50K, $70K a year at a job that I hate. So I guess I should thank those rich pricks for showing how miserable they could be, especially Mr. Hamilton. You are a paragon of what I hope to never be. I used to be a janitor porter and I've worked in retail as well. Basically I clean up after myself and treat people nicely. Some people are disgusting freaks. If there's a URL for a survey on my receipt, I try to make sure I catch the name of the person serving me at the counter. When I worked retail, we got $10 anytime someone mentioned us by name in an online survey. When I am shopping, doesn't matter where, if I decide I don't want something, I put it back where I got it. Why, you might ask? Well, I used to work retail and learned that customers are generally pigs. Customers don't realize that when the store says closing at 9 PM, employees are there much later, depending on the store and what type of mess said pig customers left. Car wash employee, always tip well, but never leave any coins in the car. Drama teacher, kids age 4-16. I'm considering tying my pipes and am determined never to have my own, because of the kids I've encountered, but mostly due to the parents, who will often offload onto me while I'm waiting for them to get their coats. Turns out one of the boys doesn't know his real dad works at his mum's office. Oh, and the mother of triplets still cries because she never wanted more than one. Now she has 4, including their brother. Can't deal. I worked with park cleaning and gardening for a summer once. I picked up so many cigarettes, so much trash, and some people literally threw stuff right in front of me with a grin on their face. Now I go out of my way to throw trash in the trash can in parks, and if I'm wearing gloves I'll even pick up some of the bigger stuff, cans and bottles mostly, and throw it in the trash can. I used to be very straightforward and business-wise whenever I went into a fast food joint. Now I'm sure to try and make small talk, smile, and anything to really lift their spirits. Working in fast food was not fun. I know their pain. I took a second job as a pizza delivery driver when I was trying to save money for a down payment on a house. Now I tip delivery drivers pretty well, at least 30%. If it's late at night or the weather is bad, I'll tip more than that. At the grocery store, I always group my food together. Cold foods, produce, cans and jars, non-food, to make it easier for the bagger because I used to bag groceries and people would rip me apart for not putting like foods together. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.